Welcome dear viewers to the video on stability studies and climatic zones. Many of us know about the stability study and stability study conditions, and many of us know that the samples or the product samples which are being charged onto the stability conditions or being loaded in onto the stability conditions are required to be packed in the intended marketed pack, and these are loaded for certain time period at different temperature and humidity conditions. So if you think that from where we got these conditions and why we are performing the stability at long term condition with specific temperature and humidity, intermediate condition with specific temperature and humidity, and the accelerated condition. So if anytime you think that from where we got these conditions, then you will find the answer of these questions with the understanding of climatic zones. And ICH has given the important parameters to be studied for the stability, different stability conditions, intervals, and the test to be performed. Stability studies are required and are must for the regulatory filing and regulatory approval of the pharmaceutical product. The stability studies are performed to establish the shelf life and the expiry period. The stability studies are performed to select the suitable packs. If you want to select the best pack or suitable pack for your formulation, then you have to load different pack samples onto stability. And after completion of the stability study period and testing, then you can conclude that which packaging system is suitable for the product. Stability study is also required to have the label recommendation for storage of the pharmaceutical product. If you find that the product is not stable at higher temperature, then you can select the storage temperature at which the product will be stable. So these are the basics for stability studies. Stability studies are required to be performed as per the regulatory requirements, and after completion of the stability studies, the product can be filed and approved, and expiry period will depend on to the stability study data provided to the regulatory agencies. Now we will see the climatic zones. So as per ICH, that is International Council for Harmonization, the different climatic zones are provided, and based on those zones and based on the product filing requirement, the stability studies are must. So the aim of ICH is to streamline the regulatory approval process and to minimize the duplicacy of the studies or to decrease the regulatory approval time, and this is done by providing the guidelines, as ICH provide different guidelines time to time and update the guidelines for pharmaceutical formulations and drug substances. These guidelines are provided to have the proper structure for providing the applicants or the manufacturer the complete information about the requirements of the regulatory bodies. So ICH does by providing the guidelines for the critical requirements for pharmaceuticals which affect the quality, safety and efficacy of the pharmaceutical products. The stability conditions are of great concern as the climate is different in different world regions. The world has different climate in different regions and in different countries. So if the product is developed for some countries considering the climatic conditions or environmental conditions of that country, then the product may or may not be stable with the climatic conditions of other countries. So for developing a global product, the climatic zones are required to be understood in detail, and based on those, the stability studies are to be performed. The climate of the world is divided into different zones as given by the ICH. So ICH has given 4 zones. Out of these 4 zones, zone number 4 is divided or subdivided into 2 zones. So total zones become 5. And whenever it is asked in the interviews that how many climatic zones are there, so you can answer like these are 4 zones, and 4 number zone is subdivided into 2 parts. That's why we can consider as 5 zones. Zone 1 is temperate zone. Zone 2 is called as Mediterranean or subtropical zone. Zone 3 is called as hot and dry zone. So as the name indicate, it is hot and dry. That means the temperature will be higher and the humidity will be lower. Zone 4A will be hot and humid, that is tropical zone, and zone 4A is hot and higher humidity. So zone 4A and 4B is different by the humidity. The temperature will be same, but the humidity will be different. Now we will see the zones one by one. So this figure I have taken from the available literature, and it shows the zones of different countries or which country fall in which zone. So blue is temperate, light green is Mediterranean or subtropical, zone 3 is hot and dry, zone 4B is hot higher humidity, and zone 4A is hot and humid zone. Now zone 1 is temperate zone, and the countries which are falling into these are United Kingdom, North Europe, Canada and Russia. So these 4 countries, there are other countries also. For example, I have included these countries. So Russia, Canada, part of the North Europe and UK are in climatic zone 1. These countries, if you know or if you think that these countries are little bit having lower temperature. So yes, these countries have low temperature, mild temperature, and the humidity levels are moderate. In these countries or in these zone countries, the temperature is mild and the humidity is moderate. So you can remember the zone 1 as low temperature or mild temperature and moderate humidity, and that's why the temperature is 21 degrees Celsius and the RH is 45%. If you think that the drug may be stable or not with these conditions, so yes, the drug will be comparatively more stable in these countries which are in zone 1, because temperature is 21 degree and relative humidity is 45%. So assessment of the drug stability in mild and moderate environment conditions are required. So for these countries and for this zone 1, the long term condition will be 21 degrees Celsius and 45% RH. Now zone 2. So zone 2 is having a temperature of 25 degree and relative humidity of 60%. So compared to zone 1, zone 2 is a little bit with higher temperature and higher humidity. Here zone 2 is Mediterranean and subtropical zone. Higher temperature and varying humidity levels are observed in the zone. The countries are USA, Japan and South Europe. So whenever you are filing a product that is ANDA for USA, product for Japan and product in European countries, you can consider the long-term condition of 25 degrees Celsius and 60% RH. And for us, it is very well-known long-term condition. If you ask to any professional that what is the long-term condition, so these people will answer that the long-term condition is 25 degrees Celsius and 60% RH. The testing conditions as for zone 4 is 25 degrees Celsius temperature and 60% relative humidity. So it is comparatively higher than zone 1. And assessment of the drug stability is required with slight higher temperature and varying humidity levels for the countries coming under zone 2. Then come to the zone 3. As the name indicates, it is a hot and dry zone. So it is hot means it is having higher temperature, and it is dry. Dry means it is having the low humidity levels. So always uh, remember that zone 3 is hot and dry. And the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius and humidity is low compared to zone 1 and 2. In zone 1 it is 45, in zone 2 it is 60, and now in this zone 3 it is 35. So assessment of the drug stability is required with a higher temperature and the low humidity levels. And the countries in zone 3 are Iran, Iraq, India and Sudan. Many other countries might be in zone 3. I have included as example for the countries coming in zone 3. And now the zone 4. So zone 4 is divided into four. Zone 4 is divided into two zones like A and B. So zone 4 is hot and humid. It is also called as tropical zone, and higher temperature and higher humidity levels are there. And out of all the zones, the temperature is higher, also the humidity is higher. Testing condition for zone 4A is 30 degree 65% RH, and zone 4B it is 30 degree and 75% RH. So zone 1 to zone B, there is a difference in the humidity with 10%, you can remember. Assessment of drug stability to higher temperature and high humidity levels is required. Whenever the interviewer asks you the question that what is the requirement for zone 4B, so you answer that zone 4B is 3075 and zone 4A is 3065. Assessment of drug stability with higher temperature and high humidity levels is required. So whenever you are going for the product of product filing in Brazil, Ghana, Indonesia or Philippines, then always remember that you will need a strong pack so that your product is stable with higher humidity levels. This information I am giving based on my personal experience, as the different countries have different regulatory requirements and different stability conditions. So always try to have a stability data with all these long-term conditions. Now we will see what is the long-term condition for different zones, what is the intermediate condition and accelerated condition. So always remember that accelerated condition is the same, that is 40 degree and 75% RH. Intermediate conditions vary as 30-65 and 30-75, and the long-term conditions are as given in the climatic zones with different temperature and humidity levels. Long-term conditions are always required with the time period of around 12 to 12 months or 24 months. Sometimes 36 months samples are also loaded. And whenever extension to the shelf life or expiry period is required, that time the applicant needs to have the data of long-term condition. For the expiry period extension is required. Like if you have the data of 4 years, then you can apply for extension up to 4 years if the data is okay. So zone 1, zone 2, 3, 4A and 4B. Here the temperature ranges are given and humidity levels are also given. But generally whenever you are developing a product for global market, or you want to extend the product for different markets, that time consider the 4 conditions for stability loading. That is 25 degrees Celsius, 60% RH for long term, 30-65 for intermediate, 30-75 for long term condition, and 40-75 for accelerated condition. As you develop a product with these conditions, then you can say the product is having good stability and the product can be extended in different countries. Also, whenever you are going for charging the product at different stability conditions and you have the different market requirements, so always go through the recent guidelines and have the clear understanding so that the later regulatory queries can be avoided. Climatic zone importance. What is the importance of these climatic zones? So whenever you are going for a global product development, you should have complete understanding about the regulatory requirements and the climatic zones. Compliance to different regulatory agencies. Study of impact of different climatic conditions on physical, chemical and microbiological stability of the formulation. Then understand the impact of environmental stress conditions. Like if you go for zone 4B, there is a higher humidity level, like 75%. Determining the protective packaging requirements. So if you develop a product for one country uh, and you are in process to extend it to other country, then you should have data with all these 4 conditions as I have mentioned earlier, like 25 60, 30 65, 30 75 and 40 75. Then also these conditions are required to be studied for determining the label storage instructions. So this is regarding the climatic zones and the stability conditions based on the regulatory requirements and based on the product filing in specific country, the stability conditions can be decided. So I hope you might have got understanding regarding the climatic zones and how the stability conditions are determined. Thank you for watching the video and please share these videos to your friends and colleagues. Thank you.